All right, hey, it's Abby from Abby the Librarian, and I am back with another middle grade May video. It is week 3, and this week we are talking about underrated middle grade books. So middle grade May, if you don't know, we're just reading tons of middle grade this month and posting about it with the hashtag middle grade May, so we can find all kinds of great middle grade recommendations. This week, like I said, the theme is underrated middle grade. So that is books that have less than 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. And I have 3 of my favorites to share with you today. Let's get started. The first one that I want to talk about is called The Emperor's Riddle by Zhang. This is a mystery. It's set in China. It's about a girl named Mia. And Mia is not really thrilled to be spending a month of her summer vacation in China visiting her mother's childhood home. She misses her friends, there's other stuff she wanted to do, but yet here she is. And when they get there and they're kind of settling in, they get a surprise visit from one of her Aunt Lynn's childhood friends, Ying. And he starts reminiscing and talking about the treasure hunt that they used to go on when they were kids. There is supposedly hidden somewhere a vast treasure that was hidden by an emperor, and when Lin and Ying were kids, they would try and figure out the clues and try to go find the treasure. And Mia, is very interested, of course, as a kid, very interested in a treasure hunt, and becomes even more interested when her aunt suddenly disappears. And nobody else in her family is very concerned. Her aunt is like pretty flighty and just, tends to just go do stuff. But Mia feels like her aunt wouldn't have just left without saying anything to her, and she thinks Ying was acting kind of fishy, and she just doesn't trust the whole situation. So Mia decides that she thinks her aunt and Ying have gone to try and find this treasure again, and so she decides to try and interpret the clues and find the treasure herself, and she's hoping that her aunt will be there with the treasure. So this is a treasure hunt mystery. It had just perfect pacing. It wasn't too fast or too slow. I loved the setting in China. I think that if you have kids who like those kind of historical mystery aspects of the 39 Clues series, where you're kind of learning stuff as you go along, but it's still just fun because it's wrapped up in a mystery, or anybody who likes kind of armchair traveling, this is a great book, and it is The Emperor's Riddle by Zhang. Not enough people have read this book because I thought it was fabulous, and especially for kids who like mysteries, a great one. Check it out. The Emperor's Riddle by Zhang. The next book that I want to share with you, it is a super funny book, which funny books are always a little hard for me to find because I'm not really always sure what kids are going to find funny, but I think this is a sure bet for kids who like funny things. And it's called The Perilous Princess Plot by Sarah Courtald. And this is kind of a fantasy, just really kind of off-the-wall, wacky, funny. Once upon a time, on the old tumble-down farm in the middle of nowhere in the forgotten corner of the kingdom, deep in the realm of Squirb, 2 young girls dream of their destinies. Lavender knows that her destiny is to become a fairy tale princess and is almost certainly going to feature a handsome prince. Eliza is having none of that. Her destiny involves battling dragons and giants, vanquishing monsters, and solving mysteries. Well, it turns out that they are both right, but not quite in the ways that they imagined. This one is just from the very first page, has tons of humor. It is laugh out loud funny, kind of in the vein of like Monty Python and like Cressida Cowell. It has these kind of like cartoony illustrations in it. If you have kids that like fractured fairy tales, if they like stories that are funny and also adventurous and just kind of wacky, this is a great one for you to hand them, and it's called The Perilous Princess Plot by Sarah Courtald. This is the first one in a series that's called Buckle and Squash, and I know at least the second one has also come out. So great one if you have folks that like funny stories. And the last one, I saved this one for last because when I tell you about it, I think the hook of the book is kind of a spoiler. So if you are sensitive to spoilers, you may just want to skip this last one, and that's fine. But I think it's knowing this kind of hook is what made me really want to read it, and I think it's what is most likely to get you to want to read it too. So this is a book called Unidentified Suburban Object by Mike Jung. And this is a book about a girl named Chloe Cho, and Chloe has just about had it with the fact that her family is the only Korean American family in town, and she keeps kind of having to deal with all of these microaggressions. Like, everybody thinks that the reason she gets good grades and the reason that she's first chair violin is that she's Asian. That's, oh, well, you're Asian, so it's easier for you, or, it comes naturally to you, or things like that. And then in school, Chloe has to do a project about her family heritage. And her parents are all of a sudden like very kind of shady and like avoiding wanting to share anything about their Korean heritage. Here comes the spoiler. So it turns out it's because her parents aren't actually from Korea. They're actually aliens from another planet. And Chloe, their whole family, they're not only immigrants to America, they're immigrants to the planet. It gives illegal alien a whole other kind of connotation. And it really just kind of is a neat play on kind of the idea of fitting in, the idea of being an alien in society. And it gives this book a science fiction twist that is really neat. And how it all kind of comes together, and how Chloe finds out, and then how they move on from there and deal with it, I think is really the fun part of the story. This book also really deals with microaggressions in a way that is very like kid-friendly, and kind of explaining like what that means and what does it feel like when it happens to you, and maybe that there's things that you're saying or doing that are microaggressions that you never even like thought about it that way. So this is Unidentified Suburban Object, another great one. All of these are underknown, I think, underrated, less than 1,000 reviews on Goodreads. And so if you are looking for some great books, those are ones that I can definitely recommend to you. And I hope you're having fun reading all kinds of middle grade, and I will see you next week. Thanks.